Thursday, December 3rd, advanced class. We got through our intro discussion of outsidery topics yesterday. Today we get into actual readery bits of outsidery topics today. Tomorrow's our last day for those of you who are wanting to participate in the Beard Bowl. If not, then I'll get to take care of that this weekend. As of now, Giant 1880s Beard is in the lead. If you need the digital copy of the Outsiders, it is on my website. And my goal is to soon, I will even have audiobook versions. So if you want to have someone's melodic voice reading it to you, you can go on there and listen to it also, and that's fine. And you just download them, and they're just like MP3 files. Not my voice, it'll be some other random professional's voice.
Nelson Mandela?
Yeah.
Do audiobooks count as reading? Well, really, because our last teacher in town, she's like, they're not doing any real work, so that doesn't count for reading.
Your last teacher was a hater.
I loved my last teacher.
So did I. Mrs. Blitz hated me.
Mrs. Blitz was awesome. Apparently she was awesome for hating you. Sorry, Mohammed. My teacher had us write a play. Now to our outsidery things, except for writing utensil. If you have that, then you can keep it out. And probably don't have it. As we get into it, I've got a number of little pictures we'll get into because the book is set back in the late 1950s, early 1960s, although aside from some of the reference in the first couple chapters, you won't be able to tell because it's basically just about kids that don't like each other. And that translates to any age because whenever you have kids, you're going to have kids that fight. But here they're going to make a few references to some old school stuff, and I'll have pictures up there to sort of help you out. And since it is your book, you do get to do little marky things in there, so as you find stuff, you're more than welcome to mark in there. What I'm going to have you do is, as far as marking in there goes for this first chapter, it's the beginning of the book, and what do we know about the beginning of the book?
Someone dies. It's the exposition.
Exposition. And what happens in exposition? Good job. The someone dying part's not going to happen until the... There you go. Because that's good.
Died like first 5 minutes.
Not in the first 5 minutes.
That's what you said yesterday.
Don't you try and re-quote me incorrect. I said in the first several chapters.
No, you said in the first 5 minutes.
No,
Did I record class yesterday?
No.
So is there proof of it?
Yes.
Yeah, years.
You probably said in the other
Yeah. Is there proof that most kids are?
I think what you heard was someone's going to die in the first 5 minutes of today's class.
Oh.
And it might not be in the book.
Nothing.
Yes, I did. For some of you, I'll threaten more than others. And so, with the first chapter, we're going to get into it here. We're going to get introduced to all the different characters and stuff like that. What I'm going to have you do is, anytime they talk and introduce a character, and you can connect that character to someone you know, circle it or mark it, or if you happen to have a magical highlightery device, you can use a magical highlightery device. If not, then you can use a magical normally device and just do the normal marking and stuff like that. DPU?
Actually, class started 23 minutes ago, so
Look at
no
that.
one's dead yet.
We're volunteering our first person to die already.
Yay.
Trayson.
Writing in books goes against my whole lifestyle.
Yes. Same here. Oh.
Well,
I don't mind. Do you write?
things
I
have
will
changed.
scribble.
Growing up, I had the same issue, but apparently the way we change now, especially with ebooks, you can just go on there and just go ebook and just do all kinds of little finger scribbles and stuff like that. It's going to start off talking about a guy by the name of Paul Newman. Paul Newman was a big-time movie person back in the 50s and 60s. He was sort of the dreamy, heart-throbby guy that the girls would look at and go, oh, he's dreamy, and stuff like that. But obviously from the black and white pictures, he's from a long time ago, even from before I was there. Obviously, dinosaurs were the cameramen and stuff like that. It was really hard. Little tiny arms, they couldn't hit buttons. But as far as him, you do kind of know him. I mean, unless you go back and watch old movies, which you should because they're awesome. But if you saw the movie Cars,
I love that movie.
The Doc was played by him.
Really?
Doc in the second Cars movie.
Doc was not in the second Cars movie because he died. and that makes it really hard to be in a movie when you're not around. Also, if you eat salad, oftentimes you're going to see a salad dressing called Newman's Own.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. It's this guy. He used his money to create a salad dressing company, and all the money from it goes to charity. And so it was called the Newman's Own salad dressing. So a lot of people recognize that from parents and stuff like that. So when they're talking about Paul Newman in the story, that's who they're referencing. Mo.
I used to like hard like act in a movie if you're dead.
Yes.
Paul Walker actually was in Fast and Furious 7 and he was dead.
Yeah, but they used his brother at the end.
I'm aware. Yes. It's good stuff. I'm glad you brought that up. I was worried no one would. All right. Sure. Try it. The problem with it being a book and having to go so far, we'll try having you guys read it, but I mean, you're going to have to read for like long sections, so we'll see sort of how it goes from there. Craft, Chapter 1.
Got it. When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only two things on my mind, Paul Newman and a ride home. I was wishing I looked like Paul Newman. He looks tough and I don't. But I guess my own looks aren't so bad. I have light brown, almost red hair, and greenish-gray eyes. I wish they were more gray because I hate most guys that have green eyes. But I have to be content with what I have. My hair is longer than a lot of boys wear theirs, squared off in back and long at the front and sides. But I am a greaser, and most of my neighborhood rarely bothers to get a haircut. Besides, I look better with long hair. I had a long walk home and no company, but I usually loan it anyway, for no reason except that I like to watch movies undisturbed so I can get into them and live them with the actors. When I see a movie with someone, it's kind of uncomfortable, like having someone read your book over your shoulder. I'm different that way. I mean, my second oldest brother, Soda, who is 16 going on 17, never cracks a book at all. And my oldest brother, Daryl, who we call Derry, works too long and hard to be interested in a story or drawing a picture. So I'm not like them. And nobody in our gang digs movies and books the way I do. For a while there, I thought I was the only person in the world that did. So I loaned it.
For me, real quick, I'd mark the part where it says watching the movies undisturbed with other people, because it bugs me when people talk during movies, even though my wife does it all the time, and I love her, but that makes me get grumpy and frustrated. So that was the part that I had. And the part where it says never cracks a book at all is my best friend, who I make fun of all the time, because he says if a book is good enough, they'll make a movie out of it, I'll just watch the movie. And so, but other than that, he'll never actually read one himself. And the character's name is Soda. You'll find out the parents are kind of special, named their kids some great names.
Is there a movie based on this book?
There is. Yeah, it's a good movie. Book's better, as always, except for Maze Runner. I thought Maze Runner movie was better than the book. And Mockingjay Part 2, the movie was better than the book. But this one, the book's better than the movie. That's just the way it works out. McKenna, from there.
To watch Maze Runner.
Soda tries to understand at least, which is more than Derry does. But then Soda is different from anybody. He understands everything almost. Like he's never hollering at me all the time the way Derry is, or treating me as if I was 6 instead of 14. I love Soda more than I ever loved anyone, even Mom and Dad. He's always happy-go-lucky and grinning, while Derry is hard and firm and rarely grins at all. But then Derry's gone through a lot in his 20 years, grown up too fast. Soda Pop will never grow up at all. I don't know which way's the best. I'll find out one of these days. Anyway, I went on walking home, thinking about the movie, and then suddenly wishing I had some company. Greasers can't walk alone too much, or they'll get jumped, or someone will come by and scream greaser at them, which doesn't make me feel too hot, if you know what I mean. We get jumped by the Sox. I'm not sure how you spell it, but it's the abbreviation for the socials, the jet set, the West Side rich kids. It's like the term greaser, which is used to class all of us boys on the east side. Going?
We'll do one more. By the way, I had marked that last section where it says never smiles at all and all hard and firm. I put Mr. Moslin.
We're poorer than the Sox in the middle class. I reckon we're wilder too. Not like the Sox who jump greasers and wreck houses and throw beer blasts for kicks and get editorials from the paper for being a public disgrace one day and an asset to society the next. Greasers are almost like hoods. We steal things and drive old souped-up cars and hold up gas stations and have a gang fight once in a while. I don't mean I do things like that. Derry would kill me if I got into trouble with the police. Since Mom and Dad were killed in an auto wreck, wow, this starts off great. The three of us get to stay together only as long as we behave. So Soda and I stay out of trouble as much as we can. And we're careful not to get caught when we can't. I only mean that the greasers do things like that, just like we wear our hair long and dress in blue jeans and t-shirts, or leave our shirt tails out and wear leather jackets and tennis shoes or boots. I'm not saying that either socks or greasers are better. That's just the way things are.
Are you happy? We killed off the parents already 5 minutes in.
That's like every Disney movie.
I know. So see,
So-
this is just like a Disney movie.
They kill off the parents.
No one likes parents. They're the worst.
Hey, that's not true.
So if someone dies
Do you want
in the
your
first
daughter to
5
say
minutes,
that
when you
Hi, kids all yelling at me at the same time. Glad to see that parents dying gets you. Hi. Hi. Can you get
I got a pet just like that at the dentist yesterday.
FC?
You do realize that you're a parent too, right?
I am fully aware.
Okay, and you just said that
The irony of what I say brings me much happiness. Mucho happiness, so. Aaliyah from there.
I could have waited to go home to
Yeah.
Okay. I could have waited to go to the movies until Derry or Soda Pop got off work. They would have gone with me or just driven me there or walked along, although Soda can't sit still long enough to enjoy a movie, and they bore Derry to death. Derry thinks that his life is enough without inspecting other people's. Or I could have gotten one of the gang to come along, one of the 4 boys Derry and Soda and I have grown up with and consider family. We're almost as close as brothers. When you grow up in a tight-knit neighborhood like ours, you get to know each other real well. If I had thought about it, I would have called Derry, and he would have come by on his way home and picked me up. Or 2-Bit Matthews, one of our gang, would have come to get me in his car if I had asked him. But sometimes I just don't use my head. It drives my brother Derry nuts when I do stuff like that, because I'm supposed to be smart. I make good grades and have a high IQ and everything, but I don't use my head. Besides, I like walking. I about decided I didn't like it so much, though, when I spotted that red Corvair trailing me. It was almost 2 blocks from home then, and so I started walking a little faster. I'd never been jumped, but I'd seen Johnny after 4 Socks got hold of him, and it wasn't pretty. Johnny was scared of his own shadow after that. Johnny was 16 then.
One more.
I knew it wasn't any use, though, with the fast walking. I mean, even before the Corvair pulled up beside me and 5 Socks got out. I got pretty scared. I'm kind of small for 14, even though I have a good build. And those guys were bigger than me. I automatically hitched my thumbs in my jeans and slouched, wondering if I could get away if I made a break for it. I remembered Johnny, his face all cut up and bruised, and I remember how he had cried when we had found him, half conscious in the corner lot. Johnny had it awful rough at home. It took a lot to make him cry.
When they were talking about the red Corvair, this is what the red Corvair looks like. So as he's walking home from the movie theater, this starts to come up behind him. When it says that he, hitched my thumbs in the jeans and slouch, the hitching of your thumbs, when you take your thumbs and put them either in your pockets, like in little belt loops, and do a whole little. Charlie Brown, I think, does it when they play the sad song. And he sort of like walks along and like kicks a little ground. It's sort of that same idea. So he sees this car pulling up and knows that things are not going to go well. From there, Johnny.
I was sweating something fierce, although I was cold. I could feel my palms getting clammy and the perspiration running down my back. I get like that when I'm real scared. I glance around for a pop bottle or a stick or something. Steve Randall, Soda's best buddy, had once held off 4 guys with a busted pop bottle. But there was nothing, so I stood there like a bump on a log while they surrounded me. I don't use my head. They walked around slowly, silently, smiling. "Hey, Grease," one said in an over-friendly voice. "We're gonna do you a favor, Greaser. We're gonna cut all that long, greasy hair off." He had on a Madras shirt. I can still see it. Blue Madras. One of them laughed, then cussed me out in a low voice. I couldn't think of anything to say. There just isn't a whole lot you can say while waiting to get mugged, so I kept my mouth shut.
This is Madras. It's sort of fancy print. It came back with Hollister a couple years ago. It looks sort of like plaid, but it's a little bit different, sort of a rainbowy plaid kind of thing. So it has a blue Madras shirt. It looks something like that, but mostly a blue color to it. From there, Mohammed.
From Need a Haircut Greaser.
Need a haircut, greaser?
A medium-sized blonde pulled a knife out of his back pocket and flipped the blade open. I finally thought of something to say. No. I was backing up, away from that knife. Of course, I backed right into one of them. They had me down in a second. They had my arms and legs pinned down, and one of them was sitting on my chest with his knees and on my elbows. And if you don't think that hurts, you're crazy. I could smell English leather, shaving lotion, and stale tobacco, and I wondered foolishly if I would suffocate before they did anything. I was scared so bad, I was wishing I would. I fought to get loose, and almost did for a second. Then they tightened up on me, and the one on my chest slugged me a couple of times. So I lay still, swearing at them between gaps. A blade was held against my throat. How'd you like that haircut to begin, just below the chin? It occurred to me then that they could kill me. I went wild. I started screaming for soda, dairy, anyone. Someone put his hand over my mouth, and I bit as hard as I could, tasting the blood running through my teeth. I heard a muttered curse and got slugged again, and they were stuffing a handkerchief in my mouth. One of them kept saying, "Shut him up, for Pete's sake, shut him up." Then there were shouts and the pounding of feet, and the socks jumped up and left me lying there, gasping. I lay there and wondered what in the world was happening. People were jumping over me and running by me, and I was too dazed to figure it out. Then someone had me under the armpits and was hauling me onto my feet. It was Derry. Back to going.
Yeah, I was trying to... Unfortunately, Mr. Sturgeon has it. I have... When he's getting jumped and beat up by the socias, what is it he smells?
Tobacco?
Tobacco and...
Leather?
Old leather shaving lotion. And I have old leather shaving lotion. I have that smell, but Mr. Sturgeon has it because the Globetrotters were reading this part of the book before. So I haven't gotten it back from him, so I'm going to have that for you guys tomorrow if you go tracking down.
Go get it right now. Really fast.
Sure, can I go for it? I don't need both of you. It's not that heavy. It's a small thing like this.
It's really heavy.
Can I
You
do
have to hold it both hands.
If she doesn't feel she can, she can't. She just go down there and say, "Hey, I need the old leather shaving lotion."
And don't jump
thing.
him.
And don't jump him. It'd be weird.
Jump there.
Alright. You guys turn the page over there. So. Then there were shouts and the pounding of feet, and the socias jumped up and left me lying there, gasping. I lay there and wondered what the world was happening. People were jumping over me and running by me, and I was too dazed to figure it out. Then someone had me under the armpits and was hauling me to my feet. It was Derry. "You all right, pony boy?" He was shaking me, and I wished he'd stop. I was dizzy enough anyway. I could tell it was Derry, though, partly because of the voice, and partly because Derry is always rough with me without meaning to be. "I'm okay." "Quit shaking me, Derry, I'm okay." He stopped instantly. "I'm sorry." He wasn't really. Derry isn't ever sorry for anything he does. It seems funny to me that he should look just exactly like my father and act exactly the opposite from him. My father, was only 40 when he died, and he looked 25. And a lot of people thought Derry and Dad were brothers instead of father and son. But they only looked alike. My father was never rough with anyone without meaning to be. Derry's 6'2", and broad-shouldered and muscular. He has dark brown hair that kicks out in front and a slight cowlick in the back, like Dad's. But Derry's eyes are his own. He's got eyes that are like two pieces of pale blue-green ice. They've got a determined set to him like the rest of them. He looks older than 20. Tough, cool, smart. He'd be real handsome if his eyes weren't so cold. He doesn't understand anything that's not plain, hard fact, but he uses his head. Real quick, the two groups that they have in the story. Pony Boy, the kid who's telling you the story right now. And yeah, that's his real name, and he'll get to that coming up. Like I said, his parents were real interesting people. He's a member of the Greasers. And the Greasers, if you saw the movie Grease Lightning, John Travolta with the car, same idea with the black leather jackets and stuff like that. Same type of person. And then the group that doesn't like them is called the... They're called socias, because what's it short for? Socials. Given, when you guys read it, what are you going to call them?
Socks.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. They're technically socias, but when you keep calling them socks, I'll just twitch and move on. And so then you have the socias, who were the rich kids that were in town, the ones who come from the nice side of town and have the families that are all together and stuff like that.
Is there a dog wearing a scarf?
Yeah, it's a soch dog. typing in there, Soch dog, and that came up, and I was like, that's adorable. And so I was just coming up with those. And when he talks about, do I have a cowlick on there? There you go. The cowlick. And they talk about the fact that he has a cowlick that doesn't stay down. It's the hair in the back. It just, you keep trying to it's like, ba-ching, and you're like, ba-ching, it just keeps coming up. It's the same idea. And they're going to talk about, 2-Bit cocks his eyebrow here in a moment. And when you cock your eyebrow is when one eyebrow goes up and the other eyebrow goes down. And so I tried to find the example of someone cocking an eyebrow. And yes, that is a doctor. Good job. And that Buzz Lightyear when he was in the Spanish mode, whenever he went over to he did the eyebrow cocking thing and stuff like that. And that would be
The Rock. Dwayne Johnson.
I have to look for it. Couldn't find it in there. Is that? Yeah,
Switchblade.
I'll look for it after this class.
I looked in my drawer. I'm like, I swear I gave it like the next day.
All right, I'll dig in there. I couldn't find it my first pass through, so I just assumed.
Okay.
I can't do that.
Cock your eyebrow.
I can only do my right eyebrow.
All right. Let's get to there.
Do both.
Well, what page are you on?
Page 7.
Oh.
Okay, we didn't get that far. I sat down again, rubbing my cheek where I'd been slugged the most. Derry jammed his fists in his pockets. They didn't hurt you too bad, did they? They did. I was smarting and aching, and my chest was sore. And smarting means hurting, stuff like that. So when something smarts, it hurts. Just an old term. And so nervous, my hands were shaking, and I wanted to start bawling, but you just don't say that to Derry. I'm okay. Soda Pop came loping back, and by then I'd figured that all the noise I'd heard was the gang coming to rescue me. He dropped down beside me, examining my head. You got cut up a little, huh, Pony Boy? I looked at him blankly. I did? He pulled out a handkerchief, wet the end of it with his tongue, and pressed it gently against the side of my head. You're bleeding like a stuck pig. I am? Look. He showed me the handkerchief, reddened as if by magic. Did they pull a blade on you? I remember the voice. Need a haircut, greaser? The blade must have slipped while he was trying to shut me up. Yeah. Soda is handsomer than anyone else I know. I mean, not like Derry. Soda's movie star kind of handsome. The kind that people stop on the street to watch go by. He's not as tall as Derry. He's a little slimmer, but he has a finely drawn, sensitive face that somehow manages to be reckless and thoughtful at the same time. He's got dark gold hair that he combs back, long and silky and straight. In the summer, the sun bleaches it to a shining wheat gold. His eyes are dark brown, lively, dancing, recklessly laughing eyes that can be gentle and sympathetic one moment and blazing with anger the next. He has Dad's eyes, but Soda's one of a kind. He can get drunk in a drag race or dancing without ever getting near alcohol. In our neighborhood, it's rare to find a kid who doesn't drink once in a while, but Soda never touches a drop. He doesn't need to. He gets drunk on just plain living, and he understands everybody. He looked at me more closely. I looked away hurriedly because, if you want to know the truth, I was starting to bawl. I knew I was as white as I felt, and I was shaking like a leaf. Bawl, B-A-W-L, is? Crying. Soda just put his hand on my shoulder. Easy, Pony Boy, they ain't gonna hurt you no more. I know, I said, but the ground began to blur. I felt hot tears running down my cheeks. I brushed them away impatiently. I'm just a little spooked, that's all. I drew a quivering breath and quit crying. You just don't cry in front of Derry. Not unless you're hurt like Johnny had been that day we found him in the vacant lot. Compared to Johnny, I wasn't hurt at all. And that's a sort of a diagram of the different kids like that, so it makes it a little easier. You have the three brothers, Pony Boy, Soda Pop, and Derry, and they're going to introduce the four friends. And together they call themselves a gang, if you will. Soda rubbed my hair. You're an okay kid, Pony. I had to grin at him. Soda can make you grin no matter what. I guess it's because he's always grinning so much himself. You're crazy, Soda. Out of your mind. Derry looked as if he'd like to knock our heads together. You're both nuts. Soda merely cocked one eyebrow, a trick he'd picked up from 2-Bit. That was the, there we go. Seems to run in the family. Derry stared at him for a second, then cracked a grin. Soda Pop isn't afraid of him like everyone else and enjoys teasing him. I'd just as soon tease a full-grown grizzly. But for some reason, Derry likes to be teased by Soda. Our gang had chased the socials to their car and heaved rocks at him, and they came running toward us now. 4 lean, hard guys. They were all as tough as nails and looked it. I'd grown up with them, and they accepted me, even though I was younger, because I was Derry and Soda's kid brother. I kept my mouth shut good. Steve Randall was 17, tall, lean, thick, greasy hair he kept combed in complicated swirls. He was cocky, smart, and Soda's best buddy since grade school. Steve's specialty was cars. He could lift a hubcap quicker and more quietly than anyone in the neighborhood, but he also knew cars upside down and backward, and he could drive anything on wheels. He and Soda worked at the same gas station, Steve part-time and Soda full-time, and their station got more customers than any other one in town. Whether that was because Steve was so good with cars or because Soda attracted girls like honey draws flies, I couldn't tell you. I liked Steve only because he was Soda's best friend. He didn't like me. He thought I was a tag-along and a kid. Soda always took me with him when they went places if they weren't taking girls, and that bugged Steve. It wasn't my fault. Soda always asked me. I didn't ask him. Soda doesn't think I'm a kid. With Steve, it says that his specialty is lifting hubcaps. First off, do you know what a hubcap is?
Car.
It is connected to a car. What part of the car?
The hood.
Not the hood.
The tire. The engine.
Not the engine.
The seat.
It is, the hubcap is the thing that goes on the wheel. Yes. Nowadays, people have rims, which are like the little fancy ones, like the spinners and stuff like that. But at one time, you would just have a hubcap. This one's plastic. It costs you like 99 cents at Walmart. But they used to have metal ones that were expensive. And what you would do is you would have these on your car, and the nicer your hubcap, the more you would show off to people. What it means is that he lifted hubcaps. What was he doing?
Took them off. Stole them.
He was stealing them. And so you would go and take a screwdriver and pop them off the car and then lift them. And then you would go and steal the 4 hubcaps, and then you would go find someone else and sell the hubcaps to them. You're like, hey, that's a nice car. It'd look nicer with some new hubcaps. And you'd open up like your trench coat and like hubcaps, like just dangling there. You're like, there's no hubcaps. And then you could sell them. But the thing is, if people saw you doing it, they would come out and beat you up, and that would be bad. So that's him doing the hubcap thing. So he makes some poor choices. Stealing is not good. FC?
I found one of those walking home from school on the sidewalk.
That's how I got this one. Running with my cross-country kids one day. And I went around and was like, hubcap,
Wait,
story!
Where was it?
Picked it up. Are you afraid it's yours? It's probably not.
No, but like where was it?
Out along that road next to the school, 126th Street. That
Yeah,
goes
it's
towards
not right
next.
down mine.
It's probably a
He
different
didn't
hubcap.
actually get
No,
it
he got it from Walmart.
Yeah,
This
I
one?
know.
This one I did. It's still got dirt on it from the side of the road.
No, it,
I don't know what you want me to tell
you
you.
said it's plastic.
You just said
It
you got
is
from Walmart.
plastic. You can get it from
Why
Walmart.
does it matter?
I don't know. They seem really upset about the fact
Because
that...
you have like a real hubcap.
Yeah, I found it on the side of the road while running.
That podium is bigger on the inside.
I'm not gonna believe that story.
It's not even what I'd make up. I was making up like a dragon spit it at me one day, and I caught it and like defeated the dwarf. But no. With the story, don't read ahead. I want to finish chapter 1 with you. The drawback coming up is 1, if you do read ahead, there are big things happening in the book that you're going to want to tell people. Because as soon as we get to the rising action, the parents are not the only ones who are going to die. Other people are going to die. Plus, other big things happen. If you read ahead, you're going to get this thing called knowledge. The problem with knowledge is it really makes you want to share it. If you share your knowledge, horrible things will happen to you in my class. Also, realize the Globetrotters have already read this. If you have friends who are Globetrotters, do not talk to them, because they will ruin the book for you. Why? Because they're horrible people. So I'm giving you a heads up. Don't talk to people if they ruin the book for you. If you read ahead, do not ruin it for others. I will ruin you.